0-0. Crowd booing, but you know, it certainly looked like it could have been a foul. That's not a call you get very often on the road.
He didn't get it the first time when he went down deep and they thought he got fouled.
Cox, as a free throw shooter, just 63.6%.
You know, Mike, in 8 of his last 9 games, he was 4 of 13, had only one good free throw shooting game in his last 9 ball games, 31%, 4 of 13.
Now, that's not to say that he won't make these, but it throws a little extra pressure on a freshman who's probably, I mean, he's only shot 44 free throws all year coming into this. It's not like he's been in a lot of these situations, so a lot of pressure on him.
If you had to choose a guy to foul, that would be the guy you would choose to foul. 0.3 of a second now.
Greg Marshall, the Shocker players, trying to encourage the crowd to make as much noise as possible.
And they can still tip it in. Wichita State, if he misses the shot, has to be careful. They can still tip that missed shot in.
Well, you can hear the noise. Cox with the front end puts it up, in and out.
He missed it. Now 0.3 of a second. If he misses this one, he should try to miss it. Wichita State has to make sure that Evansville doesn't tip it in.
Oh, my God. I just realized what's going on. They ruled he was in the act of shooting. They're giving him 2 more shots. That's the craziest thing I ever saw. He makes the second one.
I can't believe that they called it in the act of
That
shooting.
is the most incredible definition of in the act of shooting I've ever seen. The ball never got above his shins.
Wow.
There is no way that they could consider he was in the act of shooting. That's just horrible, horrible, horrible.
That's unbelievable.
So now he can still tie it and send it to overtime. Ben puts it up. Good. So 0.3 of a second, we're going to overtime. I would love to see that repeat. Long pass down to Ellis, and it's out of bounds.
Oh, it's their ball.
So now
Underneath.
Evansville can inbound it underneath their own basket. So they can lob it up, and if they happen to slap it in, that's all they can do is tip it with 0.3.
My goodness.
But they got
foul.
Greg Marshall can't believe Teray Murray threw it over Ellis's head all the way out of bounds. But I am still just incredulous that the officials ruled that Cox was in the act of shooting. He was just barely inside the timeline. He was 38 to 40 feet from the basket. He was dribbling the ball. He never brought the ball up above his knees. So how in the world that could be interpreted as a shot attempt?
I thought he was just trying to dribble through traffic.
And if it had been a 1-and-1 instead of a 3-shot foul, the game would have been over when he missed the first one. That is just an amazing interpretation by this officiating crew. But Wichita State now has given themselves a real anxious moment here, 0.3 of a moment to be exact, because they're going to have to bat away any kind of an inbound lob and keep Evansville from having a chance to tip it in the direction of the basket, because they do have time to just lob it up there, slap at it, and if it happens to go in, they'll win the ball game.
You got to put your biggest man. I would think Stutz would come in to guard the man throwing the ball inbound so he wouldn't have a clear look at lobbing the ball.
This should be pretty much a 5-man zone clustered in the lane. Each guy's gonna pick up a player, and Stutz is going to guard Colt Ryan, who will try to lob it up there. There's the lob, and it doesn't touch anybody. So we will go to overtime for the first time this year as the lob sailed harmlessly into the middle of the lane. An angry crowd and an angry Shocker bench. Greg Marshall just glaring at the officials as this game goes to overtime. Shockers' first overtime game this season, 1-3 in 2 previous seasons in overtime under Greg Marshall. So we will be back with the overtime period right after this. But it's always nice in these 5-minute overtimes to be the first team to score. The Shockers will have that opportunity. Hatt starts to drive the baseline, turns back out. Hanna gets a 3. Good! Clement Hanna with a huge 3 to give the Shockers an immediate 3-point lead to start the overtime. Ned Cox into front court for Evansville. That is the Shockers' 9th 3-pointer of the night. Cox left wing. Drives it, pulls it back out, keeps his dribble going, gives it at the top to Hope, right back to Cox. Cox and Ryan are the three-point shooters to keep an eye on. 15 on the shot clock. Cox to the right side, drives down low, into traffic. Little bank shot wouldn't go. Ellis fighting the rebound, saved by Teray Murray. Good job by Aaron Ellis to get up, get his hands on it, and then it bounced to Murray and the Shockers. Make a stop and bring it back down.
Cox showing that he wants to take that big shot.
Hatch, middle of the floor to Murray. Right side to Demetric Williams. Clevin Hanna not in the game right now. Williams gives it up, middle of the floor to Hatch, near the left sideline to Murray. 16 to shoot, 2:27 to go in overtime. Wichita State up by 3. Murray pounded it out near the timeline. 8 to shoot. Now going one-on-one against Cox. Off little ball screen to Durley. A 3 from the top. Good! J.T. Durley. His first 3 of the game, and the Shockers lead by 6 now with 2:08 to go. Almost the exact situation they had in regulation. Marty Simmons will take a timeout. Hatch to play it in for the Shockers. Gets it into Garrett Stutz. Looking ahead down court, then Hope fouls Garrett. That'll stop the clock with 9.7 seconds left. It's really desperation time for Evansville. All they can do is foul. Hope the Shockers miss a couple and then come down and hit a 3. And even then, they've still got to have 2 possessions. They're down 4 with 9.7 seconds. Stutz can't make it more than a 2-possession situation, but he could stretch it to where Evansville would need 2 threes. Garrett has made 9 of 10 from the line tonight. Free throw up and good.
There's the guy.
Now, this is a guy who had gone through 10 games and shot 7 free throws. He's had 11 in a single game tonight. 10 of 11, 11 of 12. Garrett Stutz with 13 points, and the Shockers lead it by 6 with 8 seconds to go. Ned Cox gives it up to Hudson for 3. Monet Hudson, who just came in. Ryan tried to follow it up. No good. Rebound Shockers. And it finally comes to an end. Wichita State had to struggle their rear end off to pull this one out, but they finally get it in overtime by a score of 76-70 over Evansville. The Shockers maintain their unbeaten record at home and go to 22-6 on the year. Stay tuned for the Preferred Health postgame show.